In the remote mountains of Shimane, Japan, there's a ritual that takes place just one night each year. A massive furnace is lit, not with machines, but with centuries-old tradition, prayers, and patience. This is Tatara, the ancient Japanese method of making steel, the very same steel that legendary samurai swords are made from. Only a handful of people still know how to do this, and only the purest, most perfect steel made by this method is used in Japan's finest katanas. Today, we take you inside this rare ceremony, a 24-hour journey of fire, faith, and craftsmanship, capturing one of the last living connections to a 1,300-year-old art form. Let's begin. It all begins just after 9 a.m. A Shinto priest performs ceremonial prayers. Then the fire is lit. From this point, the smelter must be tended non-stop for an entire day and night. Everyone involved, including filmmakers like Petter, commits to staying awake through the long, intense hours of the process. You might think sword making in Japan goes back 1,000 years, but it actually goes back 3 times that. Originally, swords were made from bronze, but bronze is soft. It dulls quickly. That's why, around 200 years ago, Japanese swordsmiths began using steel instead. Steel is just iron, with a bit of carbon. But Japan didn't have rich iron mines like other countries. Instead, they turned to nature, using sand. Yes, sand. As rivers eroded Japan's volcanic mountains, tiny iron particles were carried downstream and settled in bends of the rivers. These iron sands could be up to 80% iron oxide, even more concentrated than traditional ores. But to extract pure steel, they needed fire, intense fire. So they built Tatara furnaces. The iron sand is mixed with just enough water to avoid exploding when added to the fire. Then, for the next 24 hours, workers add alternating layers of charcoal and iron sand. Inside the furnace, temperatures rise to 1,100 degrees, just below iron's melting point. Pure iron forms slowly, while impurities melt into a liquid called slag. Traditional Tatara used foot-powered bellows to maintain the heat. Today, electric blowers help, but the core process remains the same. Finally, after 600 kiloliters of iron sand and 670 kiloliters of charcoal, the smelter is cracked open. What's left is a giant 100-kilogram lump of metal, but only about a third is usable steel. And this is just step 1. The steel is sorted by eye, based on color, texture, and carbon content. It's then sent to one of only 30 full-time swordsmiths in all of Japan. Meet Akihara Kokaji, a modern master swordsmith. In his coal furnace, he heats the steel and begins the ancient process of folding. Each time the metal is folded, it spreads out impurities and aligns the grain of the steel. This gives strength, flexibility, and that iconic patterned look. A typical sword is folded 10 to 13 times, creating thousands of layers. But there's more. Different parts of the blade use different types of steel. The edge uses high-carbon steel for sharpness. The spine uses low-carbon steel for flexibility. This makes the sword hard but not brittle. Once forged, the blade is straight, not curved. So how does it get that elegant shape? Through clay quenching. The blade is coated in clay, thicker on the back, thinner on the edge, then heated and rapidly cooled. This locks carbon into the edge, making it extremely hard. The rapid cooling also causes the edge to expand slightly, bending the sword into its signature curve. This creates 2 types of steel in one blade, martensite on the edge and pearlite in the spine, giving it strength, flexibility, and beauty. After this, the sword is polished, by hand, for up to a month. Each blade is sharpened with natural stones, revealing the intricate hammer line, a visible border between the hard and soft steel. In some swords, the hammer is shaped into dragons, waves, or flames, turning the blade into a literal work of art. And then, it's complete. But the journey doesn't end there. To use a sword like this requires training. Petter met with a modern samurai master, a 10th-generation student of the legendary Miyamoto Musashi, who won over 60 deadly duels. Before learning to strike, Peter spent an entire lesson practicing the simple act of drawing and sheathing the blade. But when he finally got to swing, he was blown away. This is the true legacy of Japanese sword making, a perfect harmony of science, tradition, and soul. These swords aren't just weapons. They're living history, forged by hand, shaped by fire, and polished by centuries of wisdom. And maybe that's the real secret. When something is made with care, love, and deep attention to detail, it can become something truly timeless.